Hi there, I'm Rick Hines, the Product Development Manager for Fender Amplifiers, and I'm here at NAMM to talk to you about the new amplifiers for 2016. The first four amplifiers I'd like to talk to you about right now are the new Bassbreaker series. The Bassbreakers, people ask, where does that name come from? Is it a bass amp? And I'd say the origins maybe start there because the original amp that we had for bass players was called a Bassman. But guitarists realized how good it sounded, especially when they cranked it up, and it became the iconic sound of rock and roll. So much so that other amplifier companies actually borrowed from that and made their own amplifier lines. So fast forward to now, Fender's always been great at cleans and things like that, but we want to return to the original form of the Bassman and add other features so that we give more options for guitarists. Some love clean, some love getting gain. These have their own unique style. So taking some of the DNA from Fender and blending it with a little bit of UK flavor gives us something entirely different. A great thing to remember about these is there's four different models. There's the 007, the 15, the 1830, and the 45. Now, it's not just the same amp scaled down to different wattages, and the numbers correspond to the watts. Each amp has its own unique skill set and might be for a different player. So speaking to them, the first one is the 007. That one's 7 watts, Class A power of 1 EL84. It's got an amazing low end and chunk to it. We have semi-closed back cabinets to really help with the low end sound. But there's still an open enough room in the back so that you get the sound coming around, so you have a very full 3D and lush sound. 7 watts is a lot louder than people might realize, and it has this great Fender warm clean sound, and then when you turn up the gain and add the treble boost, you get a really nice crunch. That might be for someone that's a bedroom rocker, someone that needs to play at lower levels but still wants to have a really great tone and grit. The Bassbreaker 15 might be for the home recordist. This one has totally different features from the 7. It has 3 different gain structures, low, mid, and high, so you can go from very clean all the way up to heavy, heavy gain. It has built-in reverb, which sounds amazing in there. It also has the ability to XLR out from the back, so when you engage standby, it actually disconnects the speaker and you can record silently using that with cabinet simulation, which is a really nice feature. You combine that with all the tones you have available, you can go directly into your computer and you have a whole array of amp sounds all in one box. It's pretty amazing. The next one is the Bassbreaker 1830. Once again, very different. It's split. It's the only one that has 2 channels, so the first channel is actually 30 watts. It's got 4 EL84s, and that has a really great pristine, clean sound. It's very airy. It's got a lot of chime to it. And the tone circuit's based on an original deluxe reverb, but because of the Celestion speakers that we use in all the models and the tube array, has its own distinctive sound. When you engage the 1-button foot switch that comes with it, you go down to 18 watts on the second side, and that's based on an original brown face Fender Deluxe. So with that turned up to 18 watts, you can get the power tube distortion that you want to at a level that's good to be playing in a band. So I see that one as for someone that maybe has a band, plays with a drummer, and wants really great sound that's not too loud. And then going on to the 45, that's really where the Bassman started. So the Bassbreaker 45 has its roots in the original Bassman. It's got a little bit more gain, but the problem with the original Bassmans is that they're so loud, and the only way to get distortion from those is to push the front end and have the power tubes cook. So what we did is we added a scalable power attenuator that takes the amp down all the way from 45 watts to 1 watt. So you can get that power tube distortion at a much more reasonable level. The other thing is on those original amps, they have a normal volume and a bright volume. And someone realized that if you jumper both channels with a little cable, you can actually blend both and get the sound that's right for you. So what we did is we made a both inputs. You've got bright, normal. If you plug into both, now you have the ability to use the normal volume and the bright volume just to find the sweet spot. So if you have a brighter guitar, maybe you add more of the normal channel. If you have a dark guitar, maybe more of the bright channel. It's a very, very touch-sensitive amplifier, responds to everything that you do with your hands, with your pick, with the guitar. And it's the first time that Fender's used EL34 tubes in an amplifier. So all these things kind of add to something uniquely different. It's not a replica of anything. It's got its own feel. And we feel that between someone that's practicing at home all the way up to someone that's playing in a band that's touring, we've got something for you. This is the Bassbreaker 007.
Thank you.
Here's the Bassbreaker 15 in the low gain stage. Here's the Bassbreaker 15 on the high gain structure setting. Here's the Bassbreaker 1830 on the 30-watt side. Here's the 1830 on the 18-watt side. Here's the Bassbreaker 45 set for clean and dirty at the same time. The other two amps that we have new for NAMM are two signature amplifiers. We have the Edge Deluxe and the George Benson Twin. With the Edge Deluxe, we're taking all the great sound and feel of an original 57 Deluxe amp and combining it with a couple of features that the Edge prefers. Now, people know that Edge is very famous for using some other amplifiers in his rig, but he's used the Deluxes for the past decade or so to get a really big fat sound. So what we did is we took all the specs from the original 57 and we combined them with a couple of features. First of all being the Celestion Bluesbreaker added to the cabinet. It's a great sounding speaker. It's very rich and complex and very nuanced, so it responds to your playing. The other things we did is we've also reduced the low end on the amplifier, so it's a little bit more percussive and stays tighter. It responds better to the Edge's playing. And we've also adjusted the taper on the volume, so when you're turning up from 1 to 3, you get much more of the clean sound before it starts to break up. These amps are amazing as they start to break up and get distorted, but sometimes if you want a cleaner sound, this will help you get there without going into distortion too quickly. Very subtle features, but it's really important to remember that this is still hand-wired in Corona, California. It's got a solid pine cabinet that's finger jointed. We do it as close as we can to the original specs. It even has a mercury magnetics transformer. So all these things make for a really, really sonically complex and rich amplifier. So even if you don't play like the Edge, you play country, you play rock, this is a really great sounding amplifier. The other one is the George Benson Twin Reverb. We had a lot of success with the original Hot Rod Deluxe that we did for him a couple of years ago. And we realized that he was starting to play bigger events and venues, and he's like, well, what if we did something a little more powerful? I love twin reverbs. Could we do something? So yeah, we decided to give it the same look and feel as the Hot Rod Deluxe. It's got the grill cloth and it's got the covering that's the same. But the best part of this, at least in my older age, is the fact that it's 13 pounds lighter. So if you imagine, carrying around a twin reverb is very heavy. It's worth it because the tone is amazing, but when you drop 13 pounds from it, it makes it far easier to transport. That's a great thing. So the way we did it is it actually has 2 Jensen neodymium speakers. They're very warm and natural sounding, and the cabinet is actually made of a lighter pine, so both those things help it reduce the weight and help your back out. On top of that, we've reduced the gain in V1, the 2 position with a 12 AY7. George feels that when he plays, he wants to hear his hands, he wants to hear the strings and the wood, and nothing else. He's not worried about getting the gain from the amplifier. So it keeps the amp cleaner than you might normally expect from a twin, though they're always clean. It's even cleaner. But what's great about that is if you're a pedal steel player and you need something that's going to hang in there, they have very hot output pickups usually. That helps. If you're a person that uses pedals and likes a really good sonic platform, this is a great amp for that. We think that people will enjoy them even if they're not playing jazz like George. They're just a really cool looking and great sounding amplifier. So those are the new amps for Fender at NAMM 2016. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to SonicState.com.
Award-winning customer service. Fast, free shipping on most orders. Own the gear of your dreams today.